Today I have brought important questions from the chapter Kurg, Glimpses of India, Part 2. Let's begin with a quick revision. Before that, if you haven't watched the explanation of this chapter, line by line explanation in Hindi, you can go back and watch this video and then come to the important questions. Link is given in the description box. Also watch important questions from the first part of Glimpses of India, that is a baker from Goa. Now let's get started with important questions from Kurg. The first question, where is Coorg situated? Coorg, also known as Kudagu, is the smallest district of Karnataka. It is situated midway between Mysore and the coastal town of Bangalore. Second, discuss the descent of the people of Coorg, or what is the story related to the descent of the people of Coorg? So Coorg के जो लोग हैं वो माना गया है कि they are descendants of Arabs or Greeks. So यही इनकी story है. So let's read the answer. It is believed that Kurgis are the descendants of Greeks or Arabs. As the story goes, a part of Alexander's army moved south along the coast and settled in Kurg when their return became impractical. So Alexander's army से कुछ लोग जो है वो साउथ की तरफ चले गए और कुर्ग में जाके सेटल हो गए. And when they found कि वापस जाना वो impractical हो गया, it's not viable, so they decided that they'll remain or they'll settle there only. So these people that married amongst the locals, and their culture is clearly evident in the martial traditions, marriage and religious rites which are different from the Hindu mainstream. So locals के साथ उनके religious rites, marriage और जो भी traditions हैं वो mix up हो गए और उन्होंने अपनी कुछ traditions जो है उनको जिंदा रखा. So that is why वो Hindu mainstream के जो culture और traditions हैं उनसे different है. This theory of the descent is supported by the long black coat with an embroidery waist belt worn by the Kudagus. This dress is known as kufiya and it resembles the kufiya worn by Arabs and the Kurds. So Kurds, they are the people of Iranian ethnic group who live in Turkey, Iran, Iraq or Syria. Now we move on to the third question. Why does the author call Kurg a piece of heaven that has drifted from the kingdom of God? Or describe the scenic beauty of Korg. Korg is a land of rolling hills, home to evergreen rainforests with abundance of flora and fauna. The vast areas of coffee plantations with a refreshing fragrance add to its beauty. It is a coastal town of Bangalore, rich in scenic beauty and serene surroundings. Thus, the author calls it a piece of heaven that has drifted from the kingdom of God. Next, what is the importance of Brahmgiri Hills? Brahmgiri Hills is a tourist attraction in Coorg. From the top of the Brahmgiri Hills, one can see a panoramic view of the entire misty landscape of Coorg. Now question 5. What is the best time to visit Coorg? The best time to visit Coorg is from September to March. During monsoons, it rains very heavily in Coorg, so monsoon season should be avoided. Next, sixth question. Which are the main crops of Coorg? The main crops of Coorg are coffee and spices. Seventh, describe the people of Coorg, or the Coorgis treat their guests with stories of their valor. Discuss. The people of Coorg are considered the descendants of Greeks or Arabs. They are fiercely independent, brave, courageous, and hospitable people. They are always ready to entertain their guests with the stories of bravery and valor of their sons and fathers. So बहुत proud से वो अपनी stories जो है बहादुरी की stories अपने guests को सुनाते हैं. Question number 8. Discuss the wildlife of Coorg. Coorg is blessed with both charming natural beauty and rich wildlife. Evergreen rainforests cover 30% of this district, because of which many species of flora and fauna flourish here. Mahseer, a large freshwater fish, abounds in the river Kaveri. Kingfishers, Malabar squirrels, langurs, macaws, bees, butterflies, and slender loris, along with elephants, are a few birds and animals found here. Now question number 9. On one hand, where the fragrance of coffee plantations of Coorg refreshes tourists, its adventure sports thrill them on the other. Discuss. So इस question में हमें coffee plantations और adventure sports हमें दोनों का बताना है. So the coastal town of Coorg welcomes its tourists with a refreshing fragrance of coffee. So Kurg में there is always a fragrance of coffee because vast areas they are covered by coffee plantations. And the scenic beauty of Kurg soothes their soul to the core. On one side, where it attracts tourists who look for a quiet and peaceful holiday amidst the lap of nature, there are thrilling adventure sports which captivate even the most laid-back individuals. So, एक तरफ जो ये plantations है, soothing और रिफ्रेशिंग फ्रेगरेंस है वो टूरिस्ट को अट्रैक्ट करती है फॉर क्वाइट एंड पीसफुल हॉलीडे और दूसरी तरफ ये थ्रिलिंग एडवेंचर स्पोर्ट्स जो हैं वो भी कैप्टिवेट करती हैं सो इट ऑफर्स राफ्टिंग रिवर राफ्टिंग canoeing, rappelling, rock climbing, mountain biking, and trekking, to name a few, thus adding excitement to the holiday. Now, 10th question. Why is Coorg called the land of rolling hills? Coorg is called the land of rolling hills because it is surrounded by hills. Hills here look like a long continuous chain, adding to the beauty of Coorg. 11th. What do you know about the bravery of the Coorgi people? So it is a repetition of the previous question but in a different way. Coorgi people, they are fiercely independent people. They feel proud in narrating stories related to the bravery of their sons and fathers to the visitors. The Coorg regiment is one of the most decorated in the Indian Army, and the first chief of the Indian Army, General Cariappa, was a Coorgi. Even now, Kudavus are the only people in India permitted to carry firearms without a license. So this is regarding the bravery, and the previous question was regarding the people of Coorg. So slight differences there. Now, 12th question. What does the author write about the monks in Coorg? The largest Tibetan settlement is situated near Balakupe in Korg. Thus, the writer says that it would be a bonus for the tourist to run into Buddhist monks in red ochre and yellow robes. The presence of a monastery here adds to the serenity of Korg. 13th question. What do Coorgi people wear? The Coorgi people wear a long black coat with an embroidered waist belt known as kufiya. It resembles the kufiya worn by the Arabs and the Kurds. 14th question. Why are the Coorgi traditions different from the usual Hindu traditions? We've already done it, but let's read it again. The people of Coorg are considered to be descendants of Arabs and Greeks. After they settled in Coorg, they married amongst the locals, and thus there's a mix of two traditions. Thus, their traditions, marriage and religious rites are different from the Hindu mainstream. Now 15th. What are a few tourist spots at Coorg? Brabkuri Hills, from where one can have a wide-angle view of the entire town of Coorg. Then a 64-acre island of Nisargadamu and the largest Tibetan settlement near Balakupe are a few tourist spots at Coorg. Now one bonus question is left, that is the long question, but before that, subscribe to the channel and don't forget to give a like. Now, the bonus question, that is the 16th long question. Now, in CBSE, you are going to have long questions which can be based on two chapters. Like this one, change is the law of nature. But even today, the Govans and the Kudavus, they have managed to keep their old traditions alive. Discuss on the basis of the chapter Glimpses of India Part 1 and Part 2. So like this, you can get a long question where you have to think and then you have to write based on the character. Maybe the character, one is from a different chapter and the other character is from a different chapter. So you have to compare and contrast, or like this, a question can come based on a tradition or a culture or anything related to the chapter where there is a similarity between the two. So now this question, it says that change is the law of nature, but even today Govans and Kudavus, they have managed to keep their old traditions alive. So in that chapter, a baker from Goa, there also there is people who have kept their old tradition of baking in the same old furnaces alive. And even the Coorgis, they have kept their old traditions alive. So that is what you have to discuss in this answer. So change is the law of nature, but it is said that old is gold. It is also said that old is gold. One must feel proud of one's traditions and culture. People are defined and known by their culture and traditions. Of course, with time, change comes, but one should always try to preserve one's traditions. Now, this is the introduction. When you have to answer a long question, so सबसे पहले एक introduction होनी चाहिए, उसके बाद फिर specific तुम्हारे जो points है answer के वो आने चाहिए, and then the conclusion. So ये हमारी हो गई introduction, general introduction. Now we come to the specifics related to the chapter. So both Goans and Kudavus, they have been successful in doing so. The people of Goa prefer to bake their breads in the same age-old and time-tested furnaces. The pedal still forms an integral part of their culture. No marriage, festival, or feast is complete without the sweet bread called bol and special cookies called bolina. So this is their culture, their tradition that they have kept alive. Similarly, the Kudavus wear the traditional dress, kufiya, which is similar to the kufiya worn by Arabs and Kurds, thus maintaining their identity. So, जो Kudavus हैं वो आके settle हुए कुर्ग में, but they still wear their own traditional dress, thus maintaining their identity. So although they had settled in Korg and got married amongst the locals, they have maintained their traditions and culture. It is because of this that their culture, traditions and religious rites are quite distinct from the Hindu mainstream. So उन्होंने अपने culture को preserve करके रखा है, इसीलिए उनका culture जो है Hindu culture से different है. Thus, both of them have managed to keep their old traditions alive. So like this, you have to write the answer if it is based on 2 chapters. It means कि दोनों chapters की हमें पूरी तरह knowledge होनी चाहिए. Which brings me to the point, reading all the chapters is very, very important before you go and sit for the exam. So that's all for today. Do subscribe to the channel, like this video and follow me on Instagram for latest updates. Bye for now and happy preparation.